we could say it's for all cancers. But in January is a World Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. October is a World Breast Cancer Awareness Month. November is a World Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So, in short, you know, different.
So today is World Cancer for all cancer.
Yes.
Then you have specifics for this month for this awareness and awareness and awareness.
And the big reason is to call people to kind of focus on this particular cancer, be able to, you know, galvanize our efforts to one common cause.
Now that cancer has become part of our societies and our communities, now you even had the comprehensive community cancer program. I just want to hear from you. What's in the community? Do people understand what cancer is? Are people appreciating that there is a problem with cancer? Or because many of our things, of course, culturally, they're tagged to witchcraft and other unorthodox things. Are people appreciative that we have a problem with cancer?
Yes, I think I want to acknowledge that many people actually appreciate, and I must say thank you to UBC and other media houses for giving us opportunity to make people understand. But many people appreciate there is a problem, and many people sort of understand that cancer is not witchcraft, but there are also many that are still tied in those myths.
Okay.
You know, some think cancer is witchcraft, others think, you know, cancer is a virus, others think cancer is, you know, many things. But I must say that one of our core objectives
as Uganda Cancer Institute,
as the Global Cancer Fraternity, is to increase understanding of what cancer is, you know, the risk factors, dispel the myths, you know, reduce the fear, and change people's behavior. So, again, I must say thank you to you guys. You already talked about American, you know, to you guys for giving us this opportunity to educate Ugandans, and I'm sure there are many people in the global fraternity that are watching us as well.
Demystify this year's World Cancer Day theme, which simply says, I am, I will, or I will, I am. Just demystify it. It doesn't.
Excellent. It's nice to demystify it because the theme is, I am, I will. And it's a call that we should be committed today, but we should also be committed tomorrow, forever. It's a call to a cancer-free world. Now, when you talk about a cancer-free world, it sounds like something that you cannot achieve, but usually visions should be something we keep working towards. But this call is asking individuals to be committed to the cause, governments to be committed to the cause, institutions to be committed to the cause. You know, because as individuals, we definitely have a lot we can do, but also as institutions like UBC, for instance, there's a lot you can do. You're already doing it, you know, giving us this platform. As Uganda Cancer, there is a lot we can do. I am here talking about cancer. And so, you know, it's important that as we go through this month, every individual is able to, you know, and this year actually we are posing a question. Who are you? What will you do? And my prayer is that everyone seeks to know who they are and what they want to do.
What is that seeking to actually achieve? Who are you? What will you do?
Yes.
What are you expecting from the public? What are you expecting from the people?
It's who am I? I'm Dr. Knowledge Mugisha. I am a medical doctor. I head the community cancer program. That is who I am. And what will I do? You know, comes from who I am. As a doctor, I will talk about cancer. I am doing it. So again, let me talk about my uncle, who is 60. You know, he's my uncle, he's 60, he's a man. He should have his
prostate cancer checked.
You know, he's a man, he's 60. That is his role.
And he's a ripe candidate for prostate cancer.
Excellent. But he doesn't have to wait for it. He can check his body and see whether prostate cancer is there. Because it's easier to deal with it when it's detected early or even detected in the pre-cancer phases. You know, there are changes that happen before, you know, any part of the body develops cancer. So again, you know, to our viewers, just find out who you are and then determine what you will do, and make sure you go and do it. Yes.
It just seems like there are quite a lot of cancers out there that maybe the world does not know about, but there are those common ones that we keep talking about every other day. Prostate that you just talked about, you talked about breast cancer, you talked about cervical cancer. These are the cancers that many people know. But how many cancers are there, and which is actually, which are the most prevalent cancers amongst the cancers that people are claiming to? Because if somebody knows they do not have prostate, then they do not know they can actually not have prostate but also have another cancer.
Yes, that's an excellent question. So I want to answer it this way, that any part of the body can actually develop cancer, and that's important for all our viewers to know. You know, there can be cancer in the lungs, in the breast, in the prostate, you know, in the brain, any part of the body. And so when we say how many cancers are there, we usually say there are over 100 cancers, and the reason is really to dramatize the response to the question, just for somebody to know that as many cancers as we have different body cells. So we can't put a limit to how many cancers can develop. I don't know whether that makes sense. If somebody says how many diseases are there, you can't say 1, 2, 3, there are 1,000 diseases. Even today, some new diseases are coming up. Corona wasn't here 5 years ago. Here it is. We're all putting on masks, you know, everywhere. So, in short, what we need to know are the commonest cancers, and then their risk factors and what we can do. So I can go through what the commonest cancers are in our case in Uganda. The commonest cancer in this country is cancer of the cervix.
Amongst the women?
You know, I'm actually mentioning cancers as a whole. Like if you list them together, if you say how many people suffer from cancer in this country, regardless of the cancer.
They're everybody. They're that number.
Men do not suffer from cancer of the cervix. But when I say the commonest cancer is cancer of the cervix, that means the largest number of people having this cancer are the largest number, if you put all of them together. I hope that is clear. Then the second commonest in this country is Kaposi's sarcoma. Kaposi's sarcoma is a cancer that develops on blood vessels and also on lymphatic vessels. Now, in our bodies, we have blood vessels.
The lymphs now.
The lymph. You know lymph nodes? In Sanjabavu?
In Sanjabavu.
I guess.
In Sanjabavu, yeah, those are the lymphs. Those are the lymphs now. At least I know some science.
So
some very little science. Yeah, I know just very little science.
No, but in Uganda, you know, we all do science until, you know.
Yes.
So in Sanjabavu, have like vessels that take what we call lymph into these lymph nodes, the Sanjabavu. And these lymphatic vessels run alongside blood vessels. So this cancer called Kaposi's sarcoma develops from the cells that are within the lymphatic system and, you know, the blood vessel system. That is number 2. Number 3 is actually breast cancer. Now I want to remind you and our viewers that actually men also suffer from breast cancer. Oh, yes. So every man who is out there, I'm sure you know how your breast is. Our breasts are small, but breasts of men can also suffer, can also develop breast cancer. Then number 4 is prostate cancer. Now number 5 is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer that develops in the lymphatic system. And then number 5 is liver cancer. And at this point I must mention that liver cancer is highly associated with hepatitis, virus infections, top of them being hepatitis B, for which we have a vaccine now. Because this is World Cancer Day, when I get an opportunity to talk about a fact, I want to make sure I chip it in.
Please do it.
Yes, excellent. And then number 7 is cancer of the esophagus. Kokoroyo momiro. Then number 7 is leukemia.
The blood
leukemia. Leukemia, we could say, you know, cancer of the blood. You know, that's how it,
cancer of Musai.
It's a cancer that develops in the bone marrow. That's where the problem starts. Leukemia isokera musomyo. That's the way we put it in Uganda. Good morning, Uganda. I hope
yes, it is. People understand.
Are not going to complain. And then number 10 is cancer of the stomach. Now I want to stop there, you know, because those are the top ones.
Very many. These are top ones, yes.
But I must mention the contrast. The commonest cancer in the world is breast cancer. Number 2 is lung cancer. Number 3 is prostate cancer.
Commonest meaning the prevalence of the so many people that suffer from that particular cancer.
Yes.
In a Ugandan context, it is cervical cancer.
It's in the
world context, it's breast cancer.
So, and I want to paint a picture of why the difference. And this is important because cervical cancer, the commonest in this country, we can vaccinate against the virus that is highly associated with cancer of the cervix, human papilloma virus. We can screen for it before a woman develops cancer of the cervix.
So that's the HPV that has been marketed so much by the Ministry of Health. HPV amongst the little girls, the young girls.
Vaccination.
The vaccination.
The vaccination against HPV prevents cancer of the cervix. So we don't vaccinate against cancer of the cervix, but we vaccinate against the risk. Because many people usually ask, do you mean cervical cancer is contagious? And the answer is no. The cancer is not contagious, but the risk is. I hope that is clear again to our viewers.
It's World Cancer Day, and you said anything that you want to talk about today.
Yes.
You have an opportunity.
Just
bring out the facts.
I am passionate about cancer of the cervix.
That's what you do. You are a community cancer program manager or something.
Excellent. So it's just because many of our girls are not vaccinated. If the vaccine is there,
the HPV.
HPV. Government immunization centers. All you need.
How many doses does somebody go for?
2 doses.
2 doses.
1 dose and another dose after 6 months.
Okay.
Yes.
And at what ages? What ages?
We now in Uganda we are aiming for all girls who are 10 years of age. But the global recommendation is at least they should get the vaccine by the age of 15 years.
So anywhere between 10 and 15?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you know that your daughter wasn't vaccinated and they are 14, you're welcome to take your daughter. When you go to the immunization center, the nurse will say 10 years, you need to explain. And that way the nurse will call a doctor, you understand what I mean. But the reason why 10 years is because many of our girls, by the time they are 13, 14, 15, they are already sexually active. And this vaccine prevents the infection. It doesn't cure the infection. So if you vaccinate those who are infected, it's kind of it's not the best investment. It benefits. I want our viewers to appreciate. It benefits, but that's not where a government wants to put its money. Or I put it this way, that's not where we want to put our money. Because the vaccine is expensive, though, the government has been able to get it, together with development partners. So, and then women can be screened for evidence of the precancer phase of the cervix. I want to again, kind of dramatize this, that for cancer of the cervix goes through a precancer phase. There are changes that happen in the cervix before it develops cancer that we can identify at screening, treat, and cure, so that this woman does not develop cancer of the cervix. That's why
identify, treat, and cure. You can do that. That's a prephase now.
Prephase. But also when we catch cervical cancer early, stage 1, we can actually treat it and cure it.
What are the symptoms? What are the signs for somebody who has it? To start with.
For somebody who has it, all cancers, there is like a pre-symptomatic phase. No symptoms, perfectly fine. But for cancer of the cervix, when the symptoms show up, the woman is likely to see blood when they are not in their menses. We call it intermenstrual bleeding. They don't expect to be bleeding this time. They see the
bleeding. Okay.
They are cleaning themselves, they bleed. They run, they bleed. And sometimes no pain, but blood comes. So sometimes confused and say, maybe my periods have come early. But my advice is that
so once they notice that they've moved from their menstrual cycle, menstrual routine, then they should.
Yes. Now you and me may not know.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. We're communicating to them. I'm helping you communicate to them. I'm now a cancer expert for some moments.
For them, they know that I am expecting to bleed on this day.
But if it comes, exactly.
They just see the blood. They shouldn't just brush it off, because sometimes it comes once, just a drop, call it spotting, and nothing. They shouldn't take it for granted. They should make sure they seek medical help. And then when it's advanced, they have a very offensive smelling discharge. from their private, you know, parts. And then later they can get pain. You know,
when it's now growing.
Yeah, when it's growing. And you know, when it's very advanced, they can even get what we call, you know, a fecal fistula. You know, the cancer eats, you know, from the vagina to the rectum, and then they can begin, you know, where instead of passing urine, you know, they see
that fecal fistula.
So it's that.
That's now the worst, but the last bit of it,
but
which
I
is
want
very.
to say again, we don't have to wait for this
to get there.
We don't have to get there. And for me, if we can control cancer of the cervix, you know, in the world, cancer of the cervix now is number 8.
In the world?
In the world.
It's number 1 in Uganda?
It's number 8 in the world.
It's number 8 in the world?
Yes. In countries like UK, USA, it's not among the top 10. It's not a public health problem. Yeah? And that's why World Health Organization, you know, launched a global strategy to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem. And I want to mention the 3, you know, cornerstones for this strategy. To vaccinate all girls by the age of 15 against HPV. Screen at least 90% of the girls should be vaccinated, you know, by the age of 15.
Are we achieving that as a country?
2030. Yeah.
Are we achieving that?
2021.
Okay.
I think we are on the right path.
We're on the right path.
Yeah, we're on the right path. That's why you said, you know, Ministry of Health has marketed HPV.
Yes, yes, it's a very common thing.
And I'm praying that, you know, our viewers and, you know, and everyone listening to us is able to, you know, play their role. If you're a girl and you're 10 years, say, I am.
I will.
I will. You know, I am a girl now.
I am a girl of 10 years,
for vaccination.
and I will do this.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. And then, number 2, apart from vaccinating girls, we should screen 70% of all our women by the age of 35, at the age of 35 and 45. We screen women at least twice in their lifetime. 35, 45. Of course, it can be 30 and 40, but you know, that's the range. If you can screen 70% of all our women who are in Uganda, we screen those who are 25 and above. You know, those who are younger, we want them to practice responsible sexual choices. We will be talking about that if we have time. If we don't, I'll talk to you to give me airtime next time. And then, apart from screening women, we should make sure 90% of the women with cancer of the cervix are treated. If we can do that, then by 2030, cervical cancer will no longer be a public health.
But what are the chances of treating cervical cancer and somebody cures from it? If
no, I want to say if it's stage 1, it's almost 100%.
At stage 1?
Yes, because you can.
That's a sporting, that's issues that you've been talking about.
Yes.
The initial stages.
Now from the symptoms, it's very difficult to stage a cancer.
Okay.
And most viewers who have had cancer patients, they know that when you come to Cancer Institute, we have a diagnosis, then we say we are doing staging investigations. These are a number of tests that we do to know the stage of the cancer. Is it stage 1, 2, 3, or 4? And I must say again that at any stage, cancer can be treated. I know in this country, one of the myths is the cancer is a death sentence. You're
gone.
You're gone.
You write a will.
And that's not true. You know, and next time you call me here, I'll come with a cancer survivor. If you want, I bring a young man. If you want, I bring an old woman.
You have all those.
We have all these people. Yeah. So that's the elimination of cervical cancer. The World Health Organization has determined that if we can have only 4 women per 100,000, you know, then we can say it's no longer a public health problem because of the risk factor. We can't, you know, eradicate it. When we eradicate disease, we say it no longer exists. So it's not something that we can go for, but we can eliminate it as a public health program. Yes.
Let's get to the community, the comprehensive community cancer program. Now, what is this particular community cancer program? Because when we talk about Cancer Institute, we look at it as though it's a centralized thing that everybody needs to come. I'm only imagining somebody who's watching you from maybe Chisoro, Kabale, somebody who's watching from Mamudat, Gulu, Moroto, and everywhere. And they need to come to you at the Cancer Institute. Now, let's talk about the community cancer program here. What happens? Are you in the communities? Do you go to the people? This information, if it didn't come to UBC TV here, how would somebody find it in the community?
Wow, that's an excellent question. So one, let me just paint a little bit of a picture of the history of cancer, cancer fight in this country. Uganda Cancer Institute, which was started in 1967, was started as a cancer treatment center, where research and training and treatment happens. Now, in 2009, we started a community cancer program, which we called Comprehensive Community Cancer Program, meaning that it's comprehensive. We are not targeting women or men or children, everybody, and we are also not targeting one cancer, all cancers. So this program is meant to increase cancer awareness in this country and also increase access to cancer screening services and other cancer early detection services, and also increase access to the knowledge that there is cancer treatment. And I want to tell you that even though I am here, one of my team members is in Jinja today, at the commemoration of World Cancer Day by the Eliminate Cancer Foundation, where they invited us to provide cancer education. He comes from Busoga, so he'll be able to communicate in the local language.
Exactly.
And two of my team members are at Arua Regional Referral Hospital, starting a comprehensive cancer service at Arua Regional Referral Hospital, because we are starting a regional cancer center at Arua Regional Referral Hospital, and one of the easiest things to start is to educate people and screen them. So what I'm trying to tell our viewers is that this comprehensive community cancer program is working hard to make sure that we take services to the people, to the wananchi, like our government sometimes says. And we've developed cancer education materials, videos, we've written books, and of course we are not a country that cherishes reading a lot, but there are individuals that do read. And so what I'm trying to say is that really the aim of this program is to increase cancer knowledge and cancer services in the community. About 2 years ago, we trained 4 health workers from every district in Uganda in cancer health education.
From every district of Uganda?
Every district in Uganda. We trained actually 448, in a spell of 1 month. Trying to impart the knowledge of cancer on our colleagues who are working at the lower level health facilities, and also increase their confidence to talk about cancer. Because we did a study and we found out that actually when you would ask a question about cancer at a health center, you say, go to Cancer Institute. That's where cancer knowledge is. But we want to make sure that every health worker feels confident and comfortable to talk about cancer. Because also medicine, like any other profession, if somebody doesn't specialize in cancer, when they train 5 years down the road, they don't feel confident. They don't feel they have the latest information. They feel uncomfortable to begin talking because they think what I'm saying is already, outdated. But we want, every health worker to feel comfortable to say what they know about cancer. Because that's the only way we are going to dispel this about.
Okay.
Yes.
There's also another myth of cancer being a lifestyle disease. Where we also tend to get to, you talk about having a cancer-free society, but yet again, we now know that, this is actually what is said. Yes. Whether by you, the specialists, or by we, the politicians, or the journalists, that cancer is also a lifestyle disease. Now, what are you going to do about that? Because lifestyle is actually changing, and of course that's where we are. They will tell you we have these cancers because of our lifestyle, the way we live, the way we manage ourselves, and quite a number of things. So that's how we actually have cancers with us. And if that's the case, then we don't seem like we are changing or veering from it to another lifestyle.
I want to share with you, my brother. I think I was with my, and we are driving along Komamboga Road. I mean, if you are from my
Komamboga,
towards Gayaza, and then there are people running on the road, so it says, I think people who are jogging are now increasing. And I think I want to appreciate Ugandans who are doing physical activity. I meet more people jogging these days than when I first came to Kampala. I won't tell you when, Yeah, and I think there are more people who are eating fruits and vegetables. And
now it's because of COVID. People have resorted to fruits and vegetables and running because of COVID.
No, should we thank COVID that it's marketing?
Oh, we thank God for COVID, that COVID came. Because people are now exercising, they're steaming, they're doing all the things because of COVID.
Now, if I hope I don't forget to say this,
yes.
But let me say what I want you to say is that it's not a myth that cancer is a lifestyle disease. Cancer is one of those diseases we call non-communicable diseases. Diseases that are not contagious. They can't be spread from one person to another. It's not like COVID. It's not even like malaria, that a mosquito bites you, it bites your brother, and your brother gets the malaria parasites. No. Cancer is actually a lifestyle disease. But there is also a genetic predisposition for some cancers. So some cancers, it may not be because of one's lifestyle. It may be because of their genetics. And these are important to know. But broadly speaking, cancer is a lifestyle disease. So we need to choose, safer lifestyles. Do physical activity. If you have an opportunity to dig, gardening for 2 hours is as good as doing exercise for 1 hour. For 30 minutes, actually, for 30 minutes. Do physical activity, keep a healthy body weight. It's nice that all of us who have a privilege to know, we know our body mass index. It's the one that tells us what excess fat do we have that we need to do exercise and burn. Eat fruits and vegetables, reduce the fats you eat, and the meats that you consume. I am a fan of meat, but I know it's not nice to have excess meat. It's good to have excess vegetable food, because it's, especially if you eat fruits, fresh vegetables, but don't eat them and eat cholera in them, Make sure you steam them, or you put vinegar in them to make sure these germs are killed. But it's important to abuse these things. Then you use the word abuse. Instead of abusing alcohol,
abuse this.
Tobacco,
abuse vegetables, abuse fruits.
Abuse fruits, abuse vegetables, And then also doing regular checkups. That's why we are training health workers all over the country to make sure that when you go to a health center you say, I want to be checked for cancer, you give an opportunity. And tests they can't do, they can tell you where to have them done. Because that's lifestyle. That's lifestyle. Going for checkup is lifestyle. Eating health is lifestyle. Exercising is a lifestyle. And that's why I want to say it's not a myth. Cancer is a lifestyle disease. The same as hypertension, diabetes, chronic obstructive lung disease. When somebody smokes for long or gets exposed to fumes, they end up getting what we call chronic obstructive lung disease. When they get corona, it really overwhelms them. So that's that. Now I want to say that this call of I will, I will. The theme has been running since 2019, 2020. This is its last year. Last year we'll have a new theme. But the call has also been to increase understanding of cancer, to reduce fear, I think I already mentioned it, and to change behavior. And you don't change behavior overnight. If you haven't been jogging, you can't begin running like slow, But you begin you begin by maybe walking a distance as you go to work before you board a border or a taxi. Take a weekend walk with your son or your wife or your friend. Make a company that can help you do that.
Okay, yes. Well, very important. Now, talk about this particular day today, the World Cancer Day. How would you celebrate it? What is here for us to celebrate? You just told us, talk to us about a friend or a colleague who is in Jinja, those who are in Arua, but how do we celebrate now this day? Because we normally know that when days are here, we possibly do, we walk around, we do, you call them charity walks or so. Yes. So what are we doing as Ugandans or as a country to celebrate or to be part of the celebrations for this year's Cancer Day?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Now, I want to tell our viewers that, of course, the celebrations have been curtailed down too much because of the corona pandemic.
Exactly.
We don't want to gather people and then create a platform for the virus to spread. But, I am here talking to us. We have a press conference on Mulago here at Mulago Guest House. We've avoided having it in Uganda Cancer Institute. We don't want to bring many people in a hospital setting. And then I told you we have, the charity walk in Jinja. We think since it's a sort of a country, an up-country town, we can avoid to have, social distancing at that gathering. We have a free cancer screening at Arua Regional Referral Hospital. You know, if you visit our website, there will be a lot of information. You know, and these activities are going to be spread across the entire month to increase awareness and call on people to change their behavior.
I lost an auntie about 2 years ago to what they call small carcinoma cancer. I don't know. That's what I'm actually saying. I'm not a scientist.
Yes.
And it kept bothering me, and of course, but she had died. Whether it was this cancer or that cancer or the other cancer, I lost her. She succumbed. She lost her battle to cancer. And the other issue that we had was, you know, these cancers that spread so fast, because from the time when we detected that she has cancer, I think in the month of June, you know, she never regained. We just went with that trend. The trajectory just carried on like that until November 30th when we actually lost her. That was in 2019, I think, 2018. And I'm only thinking what, because I heard about that cancer that we possibly don't know, and many people actually, like you said, they seem not to understand these things, because whenever she had the problem, we did go for checkings, and we're just getting different things. What do you think is actually missing in this thing? Because I am sure there's so many people who suffer what I suffered. Then we go to hospital and we do not know what we're actually testing for. We don't know what we're checking for. What needs to happen? Or when do we tell, when do we decide, when we choose to say, maybe let's try to run some cancer tests?
Excellent. That's a good one. But I want one. There are definitely many, you know, who have lost loved ones to cancer, you know, and probably there are a few, if there are any, that have not lost anyone to cancer. But one bottom line is that, one, for you, when you come to hospital, you can't know what you're looking for. You're looking for help to find out what the problem is. You
want to be well. You're only feeling bad.
And like I said, many cancers, by the time the person develops symptoms, the cancer has been in the body for it can even be 10 years. And there are some cancers for which we do not have screening tests. Some of those are cancers that are not very, very common, but it doesn't mean they don't you know, they don't manifest in people. People suffer from that. Fortunately, there are individuals that can seek for help and the cancer is not discovered until when it's late. But those are not the majority though, but they are there, and we will suffer the pain, unfortunately, I must say. But what do we need to do to, you know, to identify these cancers early? One, all men who are 40 years and above, should know about the status of their prostate. Now, we begin prostate cancer screening at the age of 50, generally speaking. But if somebody has a family history of in their father or in their uncle, then starting at the age of 40 is really a responsible age to start. And when you come, you don't have to do, you know, the robust, you know, the high-tech investigations. We do a prostate-specific antigen. We have a screening test which tells us whether PSA, prostate-specific antigen, is positive or negative. If it's positive, we go ahead and do a test to quantify it, because the quantitative test tells us whether it's likely to be cancer or something else.
The quantitative test?
Yes, because it tells us that the PSA is 1,000. But when we say positive or negative, you know, we use a strip and it just changes to tell us positive or negative. But what I'm saying is that for our viewers to have an idea of what is done, that's done on blood. Then we can do an ultrasound scan to see the size of the prostate and the nature of the prostate inside. We can do a digital rectal exam, again to palpate the prostate and feel how it is. I'm just kind of rattling through what we do. But what I'm saying, you, as somebody watching, you know, just know that at the age of 40, I need to know how
if you're a man
is. Excellent. Women, starting at the age of 25, if you're sexually active, and what I mean by being sexually active, if you've slept with a man, you know, in your life, go for screening for cancer of the cervix. And this is done every 3 years for those who are HIV negative. For those who are HIV positive, we do it every year.
For the negative, HIV negative is how many years?
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years. Once every 3 years.
HIV positive, once every year. The reason is that when somebody is HIV positive, many of these diseases, the processes are faster. So we don't want them to develop the cancer, and then by the time they come, it's already advanced.
It is, exactly.
And if we can do this every 3 years, that's why the WHO call says twice in a woman's lifetime can actually eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem. You know, I'm talking about what should we do. Now, if you're a child and you're a girl and you're not yet 10 years, at 10 years, get the vaccine for HPV. If you're 18 years, make sure, because make sure you make responsible sexual choices. You know, don't indulge in sex if you're not married.
Then what are sexual choices then?
The sexual choices? Abstain until when you're married. You know, if you're married, stick to your one partner. You know, a man and a woman. You know, stick to your one partner. Because when you do that, then you reduce the risk of getting this virus into your relationship. Let me put it that way. Yes.
What virus? The cancer virus?
The human papilloma virus.
Oh, the HPV. Oh, you talk about the women now. Okay,
yes,
the HPV.
I was talking about children. We talked about when should we
yes, exactly.
Yeah, for an 18-year-old, maybe there are no tests you can do specifically, but you can also present to a hospital and you get to understand these risk factors and what you should watch for.
Okay.
You know, why we call this a comprehensive community cancer program is that we are open to everybody. Some people, when they come and it's a 20-year-old young man, they say, I've come for prostate cancer checkup, and we give them information, say, but now I am disappointed. You haven't done any test. We say, you know, even if we do it, we are 100% sure it's not to be.
It's not going to be. Exactly.
Yeah, but when you reach 40, come again. And, you know, abstain or stick to your partner when you get married to reduce the risk. I should mention that human papilloma virus also is associated with cancer of the penis. Yeah, and I'm saying that with emphasis.
There's also cancer of the penis.
Yes.
I and Patrick are hearing this for the first time.
Yes, it's there. It's not very common like cancer of the cervix, but it is common. And these days it's becoming more common.
The cancer of the penis?
Yes, yeah. And the virus that is a high risk is human papilloma virus. So when you tell men to also, you know, stick to their partner or abstain, you know, it's not for fun. It's for your protection as well. Yeah, so, but the bottom line is, you know, many times, like I said, cancer has no symptoms. You know, if you feel unwell, seek medical help. Yeah, and you don't have to come to Uganda Cancer Institute, you know, as the first thing. You go to your nearest health facility, then, you know, they will be able to assist you.
Talk about outreaches now in schools, for example, because when you talk about the things, you talk about girls who are at this very tender age, 10, 15, 18, 20. Now these are girls who are still in schools, you know, that's the presumption, or the reality actually, not even the presumption. They are in school, and you do not have to wait for them when they are into marriages, into adult life, to start actually getting them to that. Do you have a program that reaches out to them, that you actually go to them and make sure that they appreciate did things while still in school and at that tender age, such that by the time they come of age, they actually know what to do?
Yes. If it wasn't for Corona, I would shake your hands. But we have a program at Uganda Cancer Institute that we call 3C program. 3C, the C's are 3. Children, caring about cancer. 3C. And this program is aimed at increasing cancer awareness in schools. And so we form what we call 3C clubs in schools. This is equivalent to a debating club, in schools I think it's called Rotaract Club, Science Club, you know, in schools. But the aim for these 3C clubs is to increase cancer awareness in schools and increase the interests and also the capacity for these young people to be involved in the fight against cancer. As I speak now, the patron for Namiryango College 3C Club called me 2 days ago saying the members of her club mobilized some resources and they want to come and donate some things to Uganda Cancer Institute. So some of these 3C clubs, you know, come together, raise money from their parents, from their activities. When I was at some school, they were washing cars. And she wants us to arrange in a safe way so they don't come and get corona or bring corona to Uganda Cancer Institute, because we are learning to live, you know, in this pandemic. And I told her, let your kids finish their exams. We'll talk about the details, how many you should bring, how they should come. So we are very excited that young people are picking interest. It's very amazing when you talk to them and they ask their questions. You're like, we have very excellent future cancer doctors and scientists.
Sure.
Yes.
Very amazing.
And we want these clubs also to go to primary schools. We are doing them now in secondary schools. We want to have a package for primary schools and also a package for higher institutions of learning, universities. So that as young people go through the education system, by the time they come to where you and me are, they are not as naive as I was and as you were before today. They do some of the things we are talking about already, part of the common knowledge to them.
Dr. Kambu Gubalagadde was here with us, and she was very elaborate on the pediatric oncology and the cancers of the children. But something I think that I did not remember to ask her is the complexities there that are just like a child discovering that they have sickle cells, because I think that was another challenge. For parents to actually tell that their children actually sicklers, or they actually call them warriors, but they have sickle cells. Now, it's not an easy thing. And what is actually happening lately is what now, those now in the sickle cells bit of vital sciences, they're also encouraging people that as you're getting married, as opposed to just testing for HIV/AIDS, which is a routine that normally every church or solemnization center requires or requests for HIV results. This time they're also asking for that. Is there a way, are you talking to the people so to, in a way, conceptualize, understand, and try to, because we're now talking about community engagement, or community cancer programs, talking to the people at that level, to also be conscious that they shouldn't wait for cancers in their children to actually get to spiraling levels where they can manage it, to get it, because it's not too much, yes, and like when you talk about the cancers here, we talked about all these cancers that affect people who are of age, and not really the pediatric oncology. Are you doing that also to make sure that the parents in the communities appreciate? Because you also have a problem where you find that we are living in societies where parents are actually children. That the children themselves are again the parents of the children. The world record has it, I think the second youngest grandmother is a Ugandan from Butaleja. Now the second youngest grandmother in the world is in Butaleja, and I think she's a grandmother maybe about 21 or 22. Thereabout. What does she know? What do they know? If you are a grandmother at 21, then what do you know? What does your daughter know? And what will the child know?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. But I want to say this, that in children, to start with, cancer in children is not a lifestyle disease. And that's why I say that cancer, though it's a lifestyle disease, there is a genetic predisposition. The way we can say, your father had Kawalata, and we're expecting by the time you're 40, maybe you will have. Like
I don't have beards because Cervical didn't have. I'm struggling to keep this because...
I hope the people watching are not watching your beards. You even stretched it more.
No. I'm struggling to have this. Nice. Yes, exactly. Because Cervical didn't have it.
All right. But we tell parents that if a child misses a milestone, and what I mean is, if a child is supposed to be walking, but they are not walking, a child is supposed to be talking.
At some age, at some stage.
At some age, because, and again you're talking about children who are mothers. There's a lot, if children are now mothers, there's a lot that society has to do.
Exactly.
In addition to what we need to do as the cancer fraternity. But if for instance a child is supposed to be speaking,
and they're not speaking.
Or the child was speaking and now is beginning to stammer again. Those can be signs that there is a problem, and cancer could be one of them. I'm not saying cancer is always the problem, but it can be one of them. And why we say this is because in children, cancer doesn't have like specific signs and symptoms that are exclusive for cancer. Also in adults, signs and symptoms for cancer can be signs and symptoms for other diseases. But in children, it is even worse. I want to narrate the story of a child who came to us, and she was in P2, When she, one time, she performed badly compared to how she performed before. And then the parents noticed that her handwriting had changed. You can imagine a P2 girl
being mindful, exactly, being mindful about handwriting.
Yeah,
you don't expect
but they see that the child is not writing as well.
Or as she used to do.
Yes, that is term 1. In term 2, you know, they saw that her walking she was beginning to fall. Like falling, you know, we all fall when we, you know, miss a step or
stumble, and
but not every day. And then in third term, she was staggering. And that's when they came, you know. And we found she had a cancer in the brain. So I'm trying to narrate that story that, you know, it could be just your child is beginning to write more poorly than before. If you present that child to a qualified pediatrician, a specialist for, you know, diseases in children, they are likely to help identify this cancer early, treat it, and cure it. I must mention that cancers in children, in the developing world, the cure rate is 80%. In the developing world, the cure rate is 30%. At Uganda Cancer Institute, our cure rate is about 50%.
Okay,
so we are better than the general developing world, but we are still far away from the developed world. And why I'm saying that is that to know that cancers in children are actually curable, more curable than cancers in adults. Yes, but what is unique about them is that they don't have typical signs and symptoms. So we have to be very keen and observant, and we have to be very, very aggressive healthcare seeking behavior for our children. Whether they are your daughter or sons, or your neighbors, or your friends, or in the community, don't observe a swelling on a child's face and just ignore it. Even if you know you're passing by and you see, you know, hey, what happened? Maybe you find he fell. That's okay, it will go away, but it's important that we take care of them.
Is our response as a country positive? Is it on the right trajectory of managing cancer?
Excellent. I think we are on the right path. My prayer is that we remain on the right path.
Where we are?
We remain moving
to improve,
forward.
to actually just continue and improve. Yeah.
Because you talked about how do we check for cancer. You know, when you talk about the development of cancer care, for instance, at Uganda Cancer, there's a lot of progress. You know, we're building bunkers. We have a new linear accelerator that we are now doing what we call wet runs. We are testing it on patients.
We call it dry runs here, you call it wet runs here.
So a dry run is when you're really testing on things that are not patients, but now we are testing on patients.
You call it wet run.
Yes, and maybe by the beginning of March, end of this month, we should be treating patients, you know, with it. We are treating patients, but in form of a trial, you know. So we are on the right path. And when I say we are establishing regional cancer centers, one at Mbarara has a ward, I think, of 21 beds, you know. The one in Gulu, we just launched it last week. And we are now providing regular cancer screening and cancer, you know, awareness. Sorry, Arua Regional Referral Hospital. In Gulu, we have a land, I think 2 acres. You know, that the government has given us, the local government, in Omoro district. It used to be Gulu, part of Gulu, and we'll be constructing there soon. In eastern Uganda, we are putting one in Mbale. You know, the negotiations are, you know, at higher levels, securing land and later securing resources. At Jinja Regional Referral Hospital, we have now a training center for doctors who are training in cancers in women, what we call gyne oncology. And in Mayuge, at Uganda Health Center 4, we have a community cancer center. So what I am saying is that we are on the right path in our fight against cancer. We have a very vibrant civil society, you know, under the umbrella of the Uganda Cancer Society. You know, many civil society organizations now involved in cancer awareness. And I think sooner than later we'll suffer, you know, what the HIV fraternity has suffered of having an explosion of civil societies and, you know, everyone interested, and then you have to control and bring you know, organizations into the right path. But for us, we are excited that there is this interest, and we are still appealing to people to pick interest so that we can all be involved. We seek understanding, we dispel the myths and the fears, and we change our behavior, and we fight the cancer.
On the part of management now, how is our patient-doctor ratio in a way? We may not have so many doctors, but of course these are the staff in there, the nurses and people who manage. We're looking at that. And they fatigued, and they also went out. So do they manage the numbers of the patients and the workers in there, the medical workers?
That's a good one, my brother. That one, our ratio of cancer doctor to a patient with cancer is on the increase, because you know I should have told you that we are training now cancer doctors at Uganda Cancer Institute.
You are doing that?
We are training, you know, for the region, for the East African region, as part of the development of the East African Center of Excellence for Oncology, you know, which Uganda Cancer Institute is being upgraded to, and so we have a fellowship to train doctors in hematology and hemato-oncology.
Hemato-oncology is for the blood now?
Like the cancer for...
like leukemia or something,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a program for training doctors for cancers in children.
Pediatric oncologists.
Yes, so Dr. Balagade, who came here, she's leading that program. And then we have a program for training doctors for cancers in women, gyne oncology, and soon we'll be beginning a program for training. We also have we're beginning a program for training doctors for cancers in adults, medical oncology.
Medical oncology.
So we are on the right path. That's one. And also our ratios are increasing. But I must acknowledge that patients are still overwhelming to us, because if I claim that we are sufficient, then people come and spend a long time in a queue. But I want to encourage our patients and our caregivers that you know, they should brace themselves for this. We are moving forward. Things will be better, at least for our children and the generation is coming. But we have to be patient. We have to be understanding. You know, the doctor is tired, the nurse is tired. But I can tell you, we take care of all those that come to us.
Is it affordable to treat cancer in this country? Because people say you have very good facilities, you have very good everything, but those are for now these who have been elected as members of parliament, the political class and the elite class. And is it affordable for everyone?
Yes. Now I want to be honest that as I speak now, most of the drugs we need for cancer at Uganda Cancer Institute are free for Ugandans. And now they're expensive, but the government has really deployed resources and are buying these drugs. And even in the corona pandemic, when, you know, supplies were, because what Uganda Cancer Institute has done is strike, you know, an understanding with the manufacturers to make for us drugs, which is super good, because it means we get drugs at a factory price.
Day in, day out.
Day in and day out. I mean, some drugs we are buying them like 10 times cheaper than what you would get in an ordinary pharmacy, you know, here in the city. And my appeal again is that the government can continue this effort.
Cancer treatment is free in this country.
It's free. Now, of course, once in a while we run out of stock. I remember recently a friend called me, the mother needed a drug. I called the pharmacist. In 2 weeks we're getting the drug. They don't have to spend money they don't have. You know, talk to the doctor and find out. If I delay for 2 weeks, what difference does it make? And when you consult the doctor, I said 2 weeks is okay. You know, patient had received, I think, 5 cycles and was going for the 6th. Like
and I think I want to commend you as a Uganda Cancer Institute personally. I visited the Cancer Institute. I've been there. I've looked at a few things in there. And when I was talking about that issue of people say and complain, we went there, but there are no drugs. But of course, I was taken through a whole list of about 48 drugs, and there were, I think, 3 that were out of stock.
Yes.
But all the other 40 plus we're actually there. Now the challenge is when you come to hospital and you want one of these 3 that are out of stock, then you may think there is actually no medicine, which I think is also a bad thing for people to actually just say. But I was impressed.
Yes.
I was impressed, and I want to commend you as Uganda Cancer Institute and of course the people in there. Well, I think it's been a good discussion. Finally, from you, what do you think people need to know again as we do our closing remarks for this particular program here?
Yeah, thank you again. I want to appeal to all our viewers that seek to understand cancer, you know, understand the risk factors, understand what you need to do, and make sure whatever fear you have, you know, whatever cloud of knowledge you have, come forward and ask us, and change your behavior. You know, do exercise, eat vegetables and fruits, you know, stick to your sexual partner. You know, if you're not married, abstain until when you're married. If you have HIV, go for HIV treatment, because that also increases the body's, you know, ability to fight cancer. And ask yourself who you are and what you will do, and go ahead and do it. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Noleb Mugisha. He's the head of Comprehensive Community Cancer Program. Thank you for joining us here on UBC today, as you also celebrate or join the rest of the world to celebrate World Cancer Day today with a very good theme. I am, I will. I am this what I am, and I have communicated to you, because
yes.
that's my willing.
Thank you.
But I want to thank you so much, Doctor, and of course thank you all Ugandans out there. We thank you for choosing to be with us. My name is Jagan Asemakola Zikusoka, once again saying good morning, blessings, bye, until tomorrow again when we return for our Pan Africa Friday. Blessings. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.